Hello students, social stratification is that concept in sociology which is very importantly studied from a very long time by various scholars, because it is a social stratification which gives various new terms and new concepts in the society, which are very popularly also studied by various sociologists, even by anthropologists, and these are popularly known as caste, race and ethnicity. In this video, we will talk in detail about these important sociological concepts. It can also be said as these are those concepts which are important to study by sociologists, by anthropologists and by the laymen also, because in our day to day life we came across various instances which are having their deep connection with caste, race and ethnicity. So, let us start and talk about, but first we will start about the concept of social stratification. Social stratification refers to the existence of structured inequalities between groups in societies in terms of their access to material or symbolic rewards, because in the society there is very commonly seen as this distribution on the basis of power, wealth, and these are classified on the basis of which is popularly known as social stratification. Thus, stratification can most simply be defined as structural inequalities between different grouping of people. Often social stratification is compared to the geological layering of rock in the earth's surface. Society can be seen as consisting of strata in hierarchy, with the more favored at the top and less privileged near the bottom. Inequality of power and prestige and advantage is central for sociology because of the crucial place of stratification in the organization of society. Every aspect of the life of every individual and household is affected by stratification. Opportunities for health, longevity, security, educational facilities, success, fulfillment in work and political influence are all unequally distributed in systematic ways, and that result in the social stratification. Caste system in the closed society and traditional societies like India is also a famous form of social stratification. Caste system is considered to be a closed system of stratification, unlike class. Class is having open dimension, whereas caste is having closed system of stratification. However, sociologists have found in their studies that social mobility in terms of movement of caste groups from lower to upper rank had always been there, but after independence, the process of Sanskritization, westernization, modernization, along with the changes brought by the universal political system of democracy encoded in our constitution, helped bringing faster changes in the society, and this led to the change in the traditional caste system. But it is important and relevant to know what actually the caste system was about. Caste is a system of social stratification and it lies at the root of Indian social structure. It involves ranking according to the birth and determines one's occupation, marriage and social relationship. There is prescribed set of norms, values and sanctions which govern social behavior within caste. Sociologists have defined caste, locally referred as jati, as hereditary endogamous group which is usually localized. It has a traditional association with an occupation and a particular position in the local hierarchy of caste. So, in reality there are variations in the structure and functioning of caste system in India. It is imperative to make a distinction between the theoretical formulation of caste system and its existential reality. Theoretically, caste stratification of Indian society has its origin in the Varna system. This system literally means color, which was prevalent during the Vedic period. According to this doctrine of color, the Hindu society was divided into four major varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras. A fifth category of untouchable lie outside the fold of the Varna scheme. This was mainly based on the division of labor and occupation. Brahmins were having their connection with the study or education format. Kshatriyas were serving as warriors or ruling class. For Vaishyas, there was exchange or the business occupation was there, and for the Shudras, serving to other three varnas was their duty and their role. Members of each varna performed various different functions like priestly function, rulers, fighters, traders and like servants. The Varna system is important because it provides an all India macro structural scheme within which innumerable variations of caste are found. The concept of Varna is generally traced to the Purush Sukta versus system of the Rig Varna Ved, and this was the reason that it was in the central theme of the traditional religious scriptures also and in the social setup also. Various sociologists studied in detail about the caste system in India, and prominent among them the name of G.S. Ghurye, which can never be forget while studying caste system. The features of the caste system traditionally was said as first the segmental division of society, that because of the caste society is segmentally divided into various groups. There is hierarchy in the caste system. Some castes were treated as the higher caste on the basis of their work done in the society. The contribution made by them in the society were treated as much more valuable than others. Therefore, the other castes were treated as lower caste. Restriction on feeding and social intercourse was also there, that certain castes were not allowed to take food from other houses, they were not allowed to go to their social gatherings, and this restriction was the underlying feature of the traditional caste system in Indian society. In addition to that, there were religious disabilities and privileges. Certain castes were given more privilege in the religious sector in comparison to those which were not even allowed to go to the religious places. There is lack of the choice of occupation, and there was restriction on marriage, means certain codes and conducts were followed while deciding for the marriage and for the choice of occupation. Means the choice of occupation was also pre-decided. The occupation which was traditionally followed by the fathers and the grandfathers in the family, the next generation was bound in the traditional setup to go for the same occupation. Jatis are actual groups of people and differ from region to region, and each linguistic region has many, means two or 300 jatis. They are small endogamous groups with a specific lifestyle, and this was the reason that the people of one caste have the similarity from those people who belong to another caste. So, in the traditional setup of closed society like India, caste system was holding very significant place in the society, not only in the social setup of describing their social life of their marriage, but at the same time in the political scenario and at the same time in the economic sector also. Race and ethnicity are used in sociological discourse to understand various social structure of power, inequality and stratification. Therefore, along with the caste system in sociological literature, importance is also given to the study of race and ethnicity. Though concepts like race and ethnicity are considered biological, but such concepts have deeper meaning and social constructions. Moreover, they are not just social constructions, rather they lead to the creation of various identities and marginalization of different social groups. Now, let me talk in detail about a racial group. A racial group is described as a group having similar physical traits. In the society, very commonly we see that people are having definite skin color, they are having definite physical features of their eyes, their nose, their heights, their color complexion, and on the basis of that classification in the common setup is on the basis of race. Race is thus a category of human beings due to some of the physical features including skin color and other facial features. It is a condition where a group sees similar characteristic between themselves and see others similar characteristics and see others as different. Means those people who are having similar physical structure are in this one group and having differentiation from those who are having different physical structure in the another group. Such kind of divisions were made basically by the physical anthropologists during 18th century and considered as scientific classification of human beings. Apart from skin color, some people have curly hair, some have straight hair, some are short in height, some are having good, they are very much taller. Some people we can see differences in the shape and size of their nose, their lips, means physical features of a person differ from one to another. Depending upon these differences, people are clubbed in various groups popularly known as race, such as Caucasian, Mongoloid, Negroid, etc. And these categories are considered as biological, that is, they are inherited, hence widely race is regarded as a biological category. Various scholars from a very long time are working on this explanation of the biological explanation of race. So, at that time race was commonly understood as the external physical feature of different people from different parts of the world, such as white complexioned Europeans, black Negroes of Africa, Mongoloids are of yellow skinned or complexioned people of Asia, and so on. It was defined by the physical anthropologists during the 18th century, already explained by me, but variously when the scholars focused on it, then they gave different new classification on the basis of this explanation of race. Farrar in 1866 divided human race into three groups and named them as savage, semi-savage and civilized races. Savage means all African indigenous people, people of color which are having black complexion, they were treated as savaged. Semi-savage were Chinese who were once savage type but are now well civilized, and civilized category include European, Aryan and Semitic people. This was the classification given by the scholar in the 18th century. Various other scholars have also given classification on the basis of their skin color, like American are having red skin, Europeans having white complexion or white skin, Asians having yellow, popularly known as the color of Mongoloids, and African having black skin complexion. So, in this way, on the basis of the color, race was considered as a biological phenomenon. But with the development on the study of the sociological literature and in the anthropological literature, it was later on been discussed that race is not only on the basis of the natural or biological phenomena, it is a social construct. Initially, it was presumed that race is biological, historical and scientific, but nowadays the conception is quite different. The biological studies over race and its genetic indicate that within a so-called given race, much more variations are found than between the races. It implies that there are no special genetic marker to differentiate people in the name of race. Two people from the same race have even sometime more differences in comparison to the people of the different races. The diversity of people many a time are influenced by the geographical condition, means or a geographical location. A person of one race at one particular point get different facilities available to those person of the same race at another place, another geographical location, who don't have that much facility, definitely have their difference in the society. So, there is no biological base of classifying people. There is a social basis of their classification, and it has its own history and politics of classifying people. Thus, the creation of racial identities is a process of creation of hierarchies between people, thereby some groups enjoy power and privileges. Racism is the historical process by which we find during 18th and 19th century the colonial powers used it to establish their supremacy. Race was a social construction where cultural meaning is attached or imposed on it. Even the very idea of race therefore has changed from time to time. Now, let us talk about another feature of ethnicity, and the word ethnic has a long history. It is derived from the Greek word ethnos, meaning nation, which is not depicted as a political entity, but as a unit of person with common blood or descent. Therefore, three popular conceptions of ethnicity are biological, cultural and psychological. The biological conception is based on the common genetic descent, and in this sense ethnicity has been treated as synonymous with race. The second conception of ethnicity treated race as a cultural phenomena. Here the mere sharing of physical traits was not seen as sufficient condition of defining any ethnic group. And the third conception of ethnicity defines it in terms of the consciousness of a common identity. Both common descent and cultural distinctiveness individually and together were no longer considered enough to constitute ethnicity. Instead, awareness among the members of a group regarding their similarity to each other and differences from other groups was that given them as ethnic identity. Thus, an ethnic group has some objective culture features that separate it from other ethnic group. Secondly, it possesses an ethnic self-consciousness. Thus, an ethnic group is collectively which perceive itself different from other, and which perceive itself from being different in terms of language, religion, ancestral home culture, etc. Thus, ethnicity involves cultural aspect in it also. It is collectively within a larger society characterized by elements like real and imaginary common ancestry, memories of a shared historical past, and a cultural focus on one or the other symbolic element such as kinship pattern, religious affiliation, language or dialect forms. Also imperative is some consciousness of kind among the group members. Thus, ethnicity involved in itself the sense of belongingness or sense of association with the group. The political perspective on ethnicity refers to the political awareness and mobilization of a group on an ethnic basis. On this basis, certain groups consciously seek to assert their ethnicity, even exaggregating their ethnicity to achieve political autonomy and even sovereignty. A key example of ethnicity being utilized for representing and advancing interest of a group is its use in politics, where ethnic groups employ ethnicity to make demands in the political arena for alteration in their status, economic well-being, educational opportunity, civil rights, etc. In a simple way, it can be said that ethnicity is interest based and ethnic groups are interest groups who work for the protection of their language, of their culture. Membership of an ethnic group tends to determine person's status in society, and this can occur in two ways: social rewards like money, prestige, mid-power, often allotted along with ethnic lines. Secondly, in most societies, one or more ethnic group dominates over the other in economic, political, or in cultural matter. Thus, ethnic politics therefore take the appearance of ethnic stratification, resulting in the emergence of ethnic nationalism. The terms are very common which can be understood in the social setup, whether it is associated to stratification, whether it is associated to nationalism. But when it is having its connection to ethnicity, definitely the meaning gets changed, because then it is associated with the political aspect, with the cultural aspect of any ethnic group. It is the phenomena of ethnic groups demanding a political and administrative autonomy, a national status, or a country of their own. Therefore, nation is not only a geographical and identity or entity which is having common prevalence in the society. Nation is a historically evolved, stable uniformity of languages, temporary economic life, and psychological makeup in the form of culture. Thus, nation is a type of ethnic community which is politicized and has rights in a political system. Nation and ethnic groups share many features but differ on territory. In this way, an ethnic group becomes a nation when it is identifying itself with a temporary basis. Thus, nationalism is also the expression of the desire of people to establish a self-governing political entity. In this way, the concept of nation and nationalism is not as common in a natural language or in a common language to use, but in the context of ethnicity, it is having its sociological and anthropological significance. There are many groups also who are having mutual rivalries. So, ethnic antagonism poses many threats to the state, including casteism, communalism, and these casteism and communism and many other such kind of social problems not only create problems or hurdles in the way of the development or growth of people, but also in the way of the social unity, peace, prosperity of the society. Above all, the threats comes from the ethno-nationalism, which is the transformation of an ethnic group into a nationality is very drastic to think about. This is being attempted and has been attempted in India in past. Therefore, all societies must create an environment which protect the rights of ethnicity, which protect the rights to ethnicity, strongly support the concept of mutual respect, and work at making ethnic identity a relatively small part of a person's identity. The ethnic distinctiveness must not be given preference over the equally crucial issues of human individuality on the one hand and identification with the national society on the other. A balance has to be reached that ethnic resurgence does not endanger the individual selfhood, and at the same time it should not hamper national integrity. Therefore, it is important to know in detail the concept of caste, race and ethnicity to have their importance in the social life and the life of that particular group. For any nation, it is very important to have peace and prosperity, and that peace and prosperity is possible when the people of that particular nation have a mutual understanding, trust towards one another. And this mutual trust towards one another is possible only when due regards is given to the existence of another group. That another group or that classification of another is either on the basis of caste, is either on the basis of race or on the basis of ethnicity. Because of the specific meaning of caste, race and ethnicity in the social context, it is important that their clear meaning must be available to the people of that nation. And when there is the clear significance, clear understanding of the concept to the people, regarding these important concept of social stratification, then definitely a sense of understanding is can be possible to take place. It is not only the can be possibility, it is very essential to have this possibility in the social setup or social scenario, to give due importance to the caste structure, to the race structure, and to the ethnicity, because it is the belongingness of that ethnic group towards that nation. It is the sense of the feeling of nationalism towards that ethnic group in the nation that gives the development of peace and prosperity in that particular nation. And this is the reason that wherever the chances and the possibility of conflict takes place in the society, it is that sense of belongingness towards the nation, it is the sense of respect of nationalism, it is the sense of dignity towards one's own nation, one's own race, one's own ethnicity, that give a feeling of care, respect towards the existence of nation. And therefore, it is not the responsibility of one ethnic group or one racial group, but the responsibility of entire society, entire population, who whether belong to either one ethnic group or racial group or to another, but they all must have the respect towards the feeling of oneness of nation. They must have the feeling of respect towards the culture of the society. They must have the feeling of respect towards the feature of unity and diversity. The ethnic distinctiveness must not be given preference over the equally crucial issues of human individuality on the one hand, and the identification of national sovereignty or national society on the other, because it is the existence of the nation which give due importance or which give due place to race or ethnic group in that nation. So, if due importance or the feeling of respect of all the people in the society towards the groups are there, towards either ethnic group or racial group is there, then definitely the existence of that common feeling, the existence of all round development of overall population can be possible. A balance has to be reached so that the ethnic resurgent does not endanger individual selfhood and national integrity, and in turn individualism and nationalism do not pose a threat to ethnic identities. Otherwise, they work hand in hand, though it's a quite difficult assumption, but still a lot of work has already been done. Scholars have underlined this coexistence feature, and this is the reason that having a conflict between the society or between the various groups, the existence of nation is there and the feeling of unity and diversity is working in the nation. So, it is very important and relevant to know about the various sociological significance and dimensions of caste, race and ethnicity, and in this video an attempt has been made to give a brief description about their features, about their meaning and about their existence and relevance in the society. In this video, a clear understanding has been tried to given to you about the meaning of caste system and its relevance in the traditional society like India. At the same time, it is also tried to give you the explanation in this video that race is not only a biological phenomena, but it is a social construct. It is not essentially to be associated with the caste or the race particularly associated to a region, but it is the concept of ethnicity which is also having its significance in the social scenario. The ethnic group and its significance not only essential for the problematic situation, but it is the proper combination or the proper working or the proper understanding between the various groups, between the various ethnic groups, that they help one another in the development of society. This is the concept of race, ethnicity and caste, which are having their existence in the social setup, but this is the proper working or the proper coordination among them that results in the proper development of the nation. For any nation and for having the feeling of nationalism, it is very important that the people of that particular group, people of that particular racial or ethnic identity have the sense of mutual respect towards another, and with the feeling of this mutual respect, dignity, sharing, understanding, the understanding of a nation in a proper way takes place. So, this is the concept of caste, race and ethnicity, which is explained in detail in this particular video. Though there are number of scholars who had worked in this direction, and still the work is going on to study in detail, in depth about these important concept of caste, race and ethnicity, but still the significance can take place only when the understanding of mutual respect takes place in these society, in the nation, among the members of various groups towards one another. Thank you.